Okay, here's part two of a video from last week
Hi.
where I promised we would tell you all about how we were able to save enough money to last us for 10 years after early retirement. So on the last video, I had stopped at, we had 2 or 3 condos at that point. And so after I met Federico, I used his savings to buy another small condo, and we stuck to the same formula, right? What kind of condos?
Yeah, working class,
Neighborhood, working class neighborhood.
neighborhood, yeah, affordable HOA, doable HOA, not excessive rent-wise and everything.
Yeah, so most of the rents we were collecting about $600 or $700 for each one. Some were 750, and I think the 3 bedroom was like 900. That was the most expensive one. So this was what we stuck to, and one thing I will say, because at this point we were living in Houston and we were renting out our house in Hollywood. If you're going to be a landlord, I mean, you need to think about it very, very deeply, because it's not really, it's for the hard, it's really hard to be one, and you have to be very tough. We ended up having to do a short sale on the house in Hollywood because we had rented to.
Yeah, to wrong people twice in a row. And what is even worse, that we weren't there, and people take advantage of that when you are in physically in the same city, in the same state, and is a fact. Is
Yeah,
really a fact.
so it was tough, and when we got the papers to get the last tenant out, and the sheriff was actually there to get him out that day, and he was begging and crying and doing all these things, and I ended up changing my mind, even though you had told me that it was better to just have him get out. Even the sheriff said it, but
Yeah, it's the biggest mistake, because then from that point you gotta start everything from the beginning, and the people evicted and knows that perfectly, and once past the moment, they don't know you anymore, they don't care anymore, and you lost all the days, the money, and the credibility even with the city, because the sheriff next time will think that
no,
you
they
know.
still have to do their job. But the thing is, like, we paid so much money, like they were living there, we had to cover the mortgage for quite a few months, which led to us working like crazy. In addition to the photography, you were picking up extra shifts at the restaurant, and it was a lot of money that we kept throwing at bad money. And eventually, I remember, even though I was trying to come up with the taxes and doing everything was just really, really hard. And in the end, you were like, why don't you just, realize that this house is gone? You're just throwing good money after that, and it's time to let go. So we had to talk to the bank about doing a short sale at that point. So it was probably my biggest mistake I think ever done. And I'm not usually somebody who hates people, but I have to tell you, I have a lot of hatred for that guy. And I know it's money that he owes us thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and we got the judgment. But everything he did, he put everything in his girlfriend's name. He did the same thing to the ex-wife, and we found this out later on. So I don't think anybody's ever going to get any money out of him. But that portion of the life was gone. On the condos, the most I think we paid for the 3 bedroom, I want to say it was like 32,000. So like I said, there were very doable things for our possibilities at that time. So Hurricane Katrina had happened in Louisiana. So they had a lot of people that moved to Houston, and the government was looking to house them in anybody that could afford to take them in. So it just so happened that we had either
Yeah,
three, yeah, it was like
yeah,
3 or 4 apartments.
yeah, three condos, yeah.
Yeah, that were free, and that just happened to be like the last people moved out at the same time. So we rented to people who had vouchers for um, rental
Right.
assistance. And the thing was like, they didn't pay us every month. The city was supposed to pay us, and every month we would get a voucher for whatever apartment it was. So it was doable because once for one thing, the prices were low, and for the second thing, we only had to come up with the HOA. And once we didn't have the whole thing of um, paying extra money to keep up with the mortgage there, it opened up a lot of funds that we didn't have. So we're able to go with just the vouchers for a few months. So after 6, 7 months, I think we got the first check about 6 or 7 months. It was a big chunk of money for all of the condos. So that set us up on like
Yeah, when
saving.
it's all together, the money, you see the difference. You can do things that you cannot do month by month.
Exactly. So we saved that money. And then after we made the decision that we were going to move away from the US, we started working extra hours. And when we decided to move, I still remember this. When we decided to move, I said, let's just go, because I'm like, let's just go. Like, we'll worry about everything else later. The condos are rented, we'll be fine. And you were like, no, we need a certain amount of money, otherwise we wouldn't go. And I remember I
Yeah,
was very mad.
when you plan, you will need that amount of money, double it, because
Yeah,
what is unpredictable will happen for sure to you when you are not prepared. If you are prepared, you may be okay. If you are not prepared, everything, and it did happen to us, only that we were prepared, so
exactly.
the damage was lower.
Yeah.
But
So by the fact that when we were ready to leave, it took us about 3 years after we had said we were going to leave to do it, where it meant no dinners, no going out, no, and that was
traveling,
hard,
no
no
traveling,
traveling,
yes,
nothing. I mean, we
especially no
literally,
traveling.
yeah, 3 years, we literally stayed at home and ate at home and did everything at home, and just, sucked it up, knowing that we would need this money later on down the line. And so by the time we're ready, after the 3 years, when we had the set amount of money and I said, okay, we've done it, it's like, okay, now we can go, and then we can set about selling our stuff that was left in the house. So the cars and all that stuff that everybody does, getting rid of your worldly possessions. But at that point, then we started selling all of the condos, and the sale from all of them, and how much we had saved also give us enough money to be comfortable. And of course, part of the thing was we were headed to a country that had a lower cost of living, so we were using that to our advantage. I mean, if we had wanted to stay in Houston, for instance, remember how expensive our medical
Everything.
yeah, our medical healthcare coverage was going to be, now that we didn't have a company subsidizing it. It was going to be so much. So the fact that we were looking to go to another country that was lower cost of living has enabled us to be able to stretch that money and hold on to it and spend it, in a great way with that. And we didn't suffer. I mean, we've been able to travel, we've been able to do things, go out, whatever. And so having that cushion has helped us to do that. And we'll be able to survive through when the 401k or Social Security kicks in. So that's how we did it. And I'm not saying that's how everybody should do it. It's just that that's what worked for us. But the fact of the matter is, nobody has there's no set formula for doing this. So you can listen to the experts and say, but ultimately saving.
Yes, because the point is this: the more you save, the less will be the chance that you'll be in trouble, you'll be disappointed, because when you have money, everything is solvable. When
Like
you
money talks and
yeah you
bullshit work.
you establish a little establish the amount that you think you will need, and increase it, because you will need
The cushion, you'll need that cushion.
you will need more. And then if you change your mind, you can still say, you know, the money will be there, and the
Yes.
money don't expire, you know,
I'll
whatever.
go back, you know, so,
Yeah,
you know,
you go back,
it's,
you still have you still can put a, you know, down payment for I mean an apartment, or rent, pay a few months in advance and everything, you know.
the only thing I will just suggest is like, make sure you know where your money is, make sure you know where your money will be, and don't, I mean, take advice from people, but like I was told when I was going to cash in the 401k, don't do it because, you know, you're going to lose out. It'll be worth like 1 million. But if I hadn't done it, I would have never been able to get the first property, and it wouldn't have exponentially increased like that. So I think like you can take advice, but you can make it work for you can modify it to see what works for you. And then with that kind of layup, if you're going to early retire, of course, if you have a job and you're still working and you have a company that you can move with, then, you know, that's great. But if you don't and you need savings, real estate is a great way to be able to do it. But, but, but you have to have the right attitude. Otherwise, hire somebody who can run it for you, who's going to be
Yeah,
great.
also what can happen, you may have a place, an house that you bought because years and years before there were conditions to give you a mortgage, and you move to abroad, coming back, you won't have a mortgage anymore. Those money that you saved will be your only protection, because most likely you won't get a mortgage again. So
Yeah,
you
at
gotta
least not
think,
for a while,
yeah, not for
because
a
yeah,
while,
exactly.
not
You're
for a
gonna
while,
you
but
have to
you gotta
establish
live
yourself.
every single day, you know.
Yes, yes. So that's what we did, and that's the story. So it's not really like, oh my God, it's this incredible story, but it's our story, and that's how it happened for us. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one, right? Bye.
Bye.